Hello and welcome to the Pork and Knuckles Show. Fact battle, right, straight in, Gremlins.
Okay, and you know what the fun part about Gremlins is, apart from all the fun parts in Gremlins, is that you had little to no actual dialogue for the Gremlins and the Mogwai in the original script, but instead, they were voiced by Howie Mandel, and he came up with most of what they said on the spot, kind of repeating words that they heard in the same scene, and he did these voiceovers for multiple language versions. He didn't only voice the Gremlins in the English version, they specifically mentioned the German edition of the film that I watched in the bar scene. In the German dub of the film, they start singing genuine German bar songs, and they were voiced by Howie Mandel himself.
Wow, right. Daniel Clamp was inspired by then Mr. Billionaire Donald Trump. The actual building was Trump Towers, his keef, Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that Daniel Clamp sounds like an STD to begin with, so... Okay, I have the Daniel Clamps, I gotta leave this video early. Speaking of early, an early attempt to play the Gremlins were not puppets, because puppets are expensive, so they used monkeys, real-life monkeys. And the problem with these monkeys were, as you might imagine, if I were to just start taking a Gremlin's mask and full-on Gremlin's helmet and put it on a monkey's head, that monkey might not like this and start defecating around the whole office, running around, screaming, yelling, which is why I will then decide, well, let's rather not use monkeys and hire a puppeteer for this. And it was actually Joey Dante's office that they tore apart after this failed try.
Did you know that the Gremlins was almost played by monkeys? However, expanding on his fact, they were only going to be used for the crowd scenes, not these specific one-on-one shots. These
must have been puppets in the first place. And expanding on this fact even more is that the coloring in Gizmo's face was directly inspired by Steven Spielberg's personal dogs.
Wonderful.
Especially the patch, the fur around the eyes.
Kingston Falls and Hill Valley. So this is from Back to the Future. It's the same set.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same set. So cool. Also budgetary reasons.
Maybe. Slightly. What I loved about Gremlins 2, I have to spoil it in this instance, is the scene where the Gremlins take over the movie theater in which you were watching this scene until the Hulkster comes in and calms the Gremlins down. This was amazing. I mean, at first people were strange that they thought the movie had burned because movies were then not distributed on hard drives but on actual film. But when Gremlins 2 was then released for home viewing on VHS, they changed this scene. They changed the effect from a burning film to a malfunctioning VHS cassette, which then led to people returning this rental VHS tape to the stores in droves, demanding a proper copy, and they had a lot of difficulty with returns for the film and with the profits because people kept returning the movie and wanting refunds until they figured out, oh, that was intentional.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes,
if you skip to 1 minute and 23 seconds in Gremlins 2, the shot of Metropolis is from Superman. They recycled it because it was the same production house. So they said, right, we don't need this in the Superman movies. And so there's Superman and there's Back to the Future in Gremlins. What else? And monkeys, apparently.
For how long have we been doing this show? This is the first time that you have a fact that I like.
Excellent news. I win. He has forfeited. I win.
Wait, but speaking of, after we talked about the joke notes by studio heads with the Back to the Future production, there was one of these with Gremlins as well, because one of the studio notes to Joey Dante and Steven Spielberg after seeing the first cut was that, and I quote, there were too many gremlins in the film.
Okay. I'm gonna...
The first one, but Steven Spielberg then suggested just cutting them all out and naming the film People.
So the secret ingredient to the VFX effects was balloons.
Yes.
When Mogwai popped out of Gizmo's body, this was on a balloon, but an invisible balloon. I don't know how they made it invisible.
I think they
maybe
must have
along the string or
they,
something.
They just cut they pasted all the fur on it, and I think they must have had the balloon below the table. And I imagine this assistant having to lean below the table,
just let go of the balloon,
blow up the balloon to create.
So there we
this
go,
effect of
balloons.
them.
So monkeys, recycled footage from Superman, Back to the Future set, balloons. Lovely. What a great recycled masterpiece.
Yes.
And on that note,
I still have a number one.
No, you
fact.
don't. You were
I
first.
do.
You were first.
Yeah, but then you still have to have one other as well.
No, I gave 5.
No.
I gave 5.
I gave 4.
I gave 5.
The dialogue with the Gremlins and Mogwai, the monkeys, the malfunctioning VHS, the studio notes. I still have one left. The studio notes were the people.
Oh my god.
I still have one, and it's my favorite one, so I don't want to miss this. When you watch the first movie, you might notice that Gizmo doesn't do quite much in the second half of the movie. He just runs around, he just drives in this car. It's only reaction shots from him, and this has a reason. Because in the first draft of the script, Strife, the bad kid of Gizmo, didn't exist. The first plan was to have Gizmo being the one gremlin that turns evil and is then, in the end, killed by Billy. But in order for them to, milk the cash cow and create toys, they needed to have this cute animal, so they decided to have a villain Mogwai in the film as well, and Billy kills the villain then in the end, or in a continued effort. But Gizmo, there was actually no plan for Gizmo, and rather than rewriting the entire script, they just inserted him in some random shots just to remind the audience to say, he still exists.
That was his 6th fact, so I'm going to say one more.
No, it was my 5th. You only had 4 because I stole your monkeys.
Gremlins sued Furby. That's it.
This was unlicensed.
Thank you for watching. Take care.
Such obvious knockoff.
That was brilliant.
Speaking of things being obvious, see you next week.
Take care.